Alright, after the slew of package films that came out in the 1940s from Disney, during World War II, whenever they didn't have enough funds to make full-length feature films with a narrative, they finally brought back this film narrative with Cinderella, which came out in 1950, which the last animated film with a full narrative was Bambi, and then we got all the package films during World War II. And Cinderella to me is really a return to form in terms of I liked those package films. They're fun, they're alright. Like Ichabod and Mr. Toad or Make Mine Music are great, but in terms of those like package films, they've got hit and misses. They're definitely all hit and misses for me, and that's because they're not all a singular film with a singular narrative. They're just different shorts and segments, and that's it. And it's like some I like, some I don't. But going into Cinderella, in terms of watching these in order, in terms of the animated canon, this is a really, really great return to form. Rewatching this, I really love this movie, and I don't care if it's a movie just for girls, quote unquote. I thought that this was a really, really entertaining and fulfilling by the end movie. Like it's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is in the same way, where like it's one of those old movies where, especially with Disney, they did this to where characters don't have much development, but the movie is so sincere, it's got such sincerity to it that it makes up for that, because these movies in this time period were not trying to be completely quote unquote realistic. They're trying to pull on your feelings, like not in terms of a realistic way. And I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I think it's one of the best Disney movies, just rewatching it. And I like how it starts out like Snow White, where it's got the storybook thing, where it's got like a live action part of the storybook, telling the little backstory of what this is, and about how Cinderella, a girl who and with her father are living in the chateau, and then her father marries again, Lady Tremaine, who has two daughters, Anastasia and Drizella. And then the father mysteriously dies. And to me, it didn't straight out say that Lady Tremaine killed him, but I'm assuming that she killed him. That's my assumption, because the way it's shot with her, the way that she's so mysterious and so cruel, I wouldn't deny seeing her do this and seeing her literally murder her new husband just to get this chateau. And I like how the narrator in the storybook part at the beginning says like, oh, and the chateau has been into disrepair because all the money gets squandered because of how greedy Anastasia and Drizella are, and Lady Tremaine is, and Cinderella, the person who lived in this house as a kid, becomes a slave, becomes abused and humiliated all the time. And I really liked that. And I thought it was really interesting with this character, because Cinderella is quote-unquote like Snow White, like Aurora, like they're very simple. They're very simple characters. And like I said, these movies are not, at least right now in this Disney age, in the 50s and earlier and a little later, they're not trying to be super realistic. They just try to make these characters so sincere that there's so much sincerity to it that you don't care that it's not trying to be realistic. Like, it's based on emotion and not on realism. It's just trying to be, like, you look at this character, whenever she starts out, she wakes up, it says in the beginning, like, she's been abused and humiliated as a slave, and I love the fact that she's just happy still. She gets really mad though a lot, like, still, like, she has emotions more than happy, but I like that this character, like, starting out, whenever first seen, when she sings the song, "A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes," it makes this character so instantly likable, because this character, through all, like, the loss she's had, still has a will to be happy about something. And I like whenever they did this with these characters in these Disney movies, because they just give off such a sincerity to them. And I think that this is a great character in that regard. I think that she is great. I think that opening song is great. I like how she says, like, in the song, like, whenever the bell tower rings, she gets mad and says the clock's a killjoy, and says, like, Even he orders me around, but they can't order me to stop dreaming. And she said, then perhaps someday the dream that I wish will come true. And I like that she just has, like, she gets mad, she gets angry, but she's got such a strong will to be positive about it. Like, I like that she breaks down, but she still has a strong will. I think that's really great for this character, and she's really interesting in that regard, like I said. And then I like the fact that she's just a friendly character, like Snow White. She has all these animal friends, but this time the animal friends have more, like, they talk and actually have more than Snow White, even though Snow White's great, the movie, but this one has more to do with the animals. The animals actually have names and personalities, like Jack, Jack, and Gus. They all have such... They're all fun, likable characters, too, and I think there's a lot of scenes in this movie with just the mice, which I think works if this is just a quote-unquote movie for girls. I feel like that the parts with the mice work well if you're a young boy and think, oh, I'd rather watch that than watch, like, her dancing with the prince and stuff. So I like that they have the mouse scenes because it makes it fun, and it's fun slapstick with these scenes. They're really funny with these mice and what they do and how they try to avoid Lucifer the cat, which Lucifer is a great name for a cat because he's a dick cat just like Lady Tremaine and Anastasia and Giselle are. And I like how Cinderella and Bruno are and the animals are the only ones that, like Cinderella's got all her friends, but they're just a dog and a horse and all these mice. And I like that, like I said, even though she gets frustrated and has a shitty time, like, she still perseveres into happiness. I think that's great. Like, she's just a strong-willed character, and that made her character so interesting and endearing. And I like how funny she is at sometimes. She is, like, snarky in a way. There's one scene where she's talking, like, it's Bruno and Lucifer on the ground where she's getting the food ready for, like, her stepmother and daughters, and Bruno's, like, hissing at Lucifer, and Cinderella says, oh, Lucifer's got some good qualities, like, and then she pauses, and then you see Lucifer's reaction, like he wants her to say something, and then she says, well, no, what about no? And then she says, there must be something good about him, and then like Lucifer looks pissed, and I like that reaction. That's funny because she is snarky, even though, like, it's hilarious the way that she reacts to some of these things. Like later, whenever the Anastasia and Giselle are singing, and they're singing really off tune, Cinderella gets that letter from outside and says, like, to the mice, I better go interrupt the music lesson. Like, she makes a chuckle, like it's not an actual music lesson because they suck at singing. This character is fun because she's so snarky, but she's also so delightfully just nice and friendly, and I like whenever they can do that and make this character so likable. And then it kind of shows a lot of scenes, like I said, with the mice, where they run around, they're trying to get food, they're trying to avoid Lucifer. Like, it cracks me up seeing those scenes as opposed to showing, like, Cinderella. You see her struggle. Like, you see in this movie how this character she dreams of something more than this, and you see how many chores and how many things she has to do because of her horrible, like, family members that are not blood related to her but own the house and make her a slave. And I really think it works well and pays off at the end, showing her do all these chores, showing how frustrated she gets, and it just pays off at the end whenever she actually gets the happy ever after. I really think that's great. And I want to talk about the stepmother, Lady Tremaine, who is one of the best Disney villains. Even though she doesn't do much, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean, like, she's not like Jafar or Ursula, where she's got magic to go with her. This is just a human character who is a bitch. Like, she's just horrible. She's a horrible human being, and I love the fact and how horrible she is. I love how when the first scene you see her in, after the prologue, Cinderella goes into her room and there's drapes on her bed, so it's dark, and then you just see it zoom in on just eyes in there, like Lady Tremaine's eyes, and then it zooms in and shows her. But I like how they make it imply that she's like the devil, and she is in a way. Like, she's such a horrible human being. But the performance from the actress who is the voice actress for her is really fantastic, and the voice acting is great in this movie anyways, but she in particular is fantastic. And I really liked her. I thought that she's a great villain because she's just so despicable. Like, the way she pushes Cinderella, the way that she forces her ugly daughters, into a way where she thinks that she can get something, but she doesn't. And I like how she just tries her hardest to be a despicable human being, and she's great. Like, just a great villain. Like, it really works in terms of Disney villains. She's one of the top ones for me. And then I'll get to the character that you think would be important, but like I said, this is one of those movies where they don't develop characters in a way. But this is the one that actually bugs me in a way, because it's the prince character. Like Snow White again, I keep bringing Snow White up, but it's like that, where like this prince character literally has, the only lines he has are like, he sings in this song whenever they dance, and then he says like, "Hey, wait," whenever she runs away. That's literally it. And the scenes relating to the prince are more about the father trying to get the prince to be married, to find a girl to get married to. And the father, the king, has more scenes and has a lot more lines, and it's trying to be like, oh, the king's just trying to push the prince to do this, but they don't have anything for the prince at all. Which I thought was really weird. Like, it's really strange. Like, you couldn't just write his character? Like, I don't get why. And I mean, I like the scenes with the mice, but I wonder if they took a little bit of that away and added some depth to the prince. But they have no depth at all. And I guess it makes sense because it's from Cinderella, the female's point of view. But now movies these days, even the Cinderella remake, Disney remake, they do that too, where they give the guy character development. So it's a weird, dated thing in this movie seeing that. And it's not like Snow White, where in Snow White, he's shown in the beginning and then he's shown at the end, and in the end it makes sense for him to come back because he keeps hearing her voice like throughout the village, and like is searching for her and finds her. But like in this, it doesn't make as much sense. So I just thought it was weird. Zero development on that character. I just think it's really weird. And I really just think that in terms of like fun, in terms of like these such likable and really unlikable characters, this is a really great one from Disney. I think that these characters, just Cinderella is incredibly likable, incredibly sincere. You feel so much sympathy for her. You feel whenever she gets angry. You feel whenever she gets frustrated. You feel great whenever she gets her ending, her happy ending. I like all the side characters, all the mice, all the, like Lucifer, the dog, Bruno, the horse. The villains like Lady Tremaine, Anastasia, Gisela, they all are either great characters or unlikable characters, but in the best way. It really works so well for this. And the music, of course, I think, in terms of Disney music, just holds up incredibly. Like I said, a dream is a wish your heart makes is a good one. And then Cinderella, Cinderella, where the mice sing, that one's good. And I like the fact that whenever they make the dress for her, I like that they make this dress for her, and then they are so happy for her, and she's so happy. She gets the dress on, and then Lady Tremaine tricks Anastasia and Gisela into tearing apart Cinderella's dress whenever she goes down to go to the ball with them. And it works so well because it builds up to how you feel so much for this character. She finally got something. She finally got this dress from her friends, all that made her for her, because she didn't have time because she's doing all the chores. And then she gets it torn up. And the scene where she gets her dress torn up by the sisters, how it's like positioned and shot, and it's weird to say shot because it's animated, but how it was animated and positioned, there are creepy shots to where it's kind of like an allegory for her like being raped. Like the way that they pull on her outfit, the way the angles it shows them going down on her, it really works and is really creepy. Like, I know it's not really like, it's a weird physical creepy like look to have them like lunge down on her, grab her, scream at her. She's got her hands up like, oh no, like don't. And then like, it's a really fantastic shot, a couple of shots of where they're pulling it off of her, and that's pulling the dress and ripping it up. It's weird, and it makes it feel so much like you feel so much whenever she doesn't, like whenever you see it's torn up, all that work she got or she did for them, and then the work that the mice did for her, all gone. And that works so well, just building up to seeing her lose it, and it is incredibly sad. It works really well. And I like how that brings the fairy godmother into it, where she goes out and is crying, and the fairy godmother comes in and she says that she, like the fairy godmother says, she's there because you haven't lost all hope yet. Like, that's why I wouldn't be here if you haven't lost everything. And I like that the fairy godmother, who sings, of course, the famous song Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, creates all of the creatures into like chauffeurs just to take her to the ball, and making a pumpkin a big carriage. I think that that's really cool, and the animation in that is really fantastic too. The animation in this movie just still holds up incredibly. These characters look really realistic, very much. Disney did this in a lot of older movies where they had these characters, or with real life like people while they're drawing it, so they did it to where it looks very close to real life, and I really enjoy that, and I think that it makes this movie hold up so well with the animation. And I like how whenever she goes to the ball, the only person that the prince likes is Cinderella, and I think that even though of course it's simple, I like that idea. It's just like, oh, they saw love at first sight. I think that's interesting. And then of course they gets the song, So This Is Love, and then they do the dance, and then he actually has a couple lines, which I don't know, it's okay, but I like that. I like how it becomes midnight, and of course fairy godmother said earlier, it's 12 at midnight, the spell will be broken, you can't stay there. So she runs away and leaves her slipper, of course. And I like how it's shot there. It's kind of terrifying because it shows her running away. People are chasing her to try to find her, and then it keeps zooming in on the clock while it's showing like faded out images of them running away, looking nervous, like, are we gonna get away? Are we gonna get away? And I think that that's shot really well too, and drawn really well too. We got a lot of creepy shots in this, which is really, I like a lot. I enjoy that, and I like how whenever by the end the prince who wants to find her, there's a decree in the kingdom, like every girl has got to come and, or every girl's got to try on the slipper to figure out who it is. And I like that all Cinderella does is sing the song, and then Lady Tremaine figures out that it was her. And I love this animation where Lady Tremaine looks at her, she squints her eyes, her face and everything around her gets dark, like it just shows her eyes, and that is a great way to animate this villain, a great way to show how despicable she is, and how she felt in the moment, how Lady Tremaine knew, oh, this, like, she's not gonna get away with this, she's actually the person who was there dancing with him. I love that animation, and it really is incredible. Makes that villain so great with the animation as well. And then of course you get that, really, again, another heartbreaking moment where you're like, she is singing the song, Lady Tremaine goes up, locks her in her room, and Cinderella just screams and cries like, no, let me out, let me out. And she's like so close to getting her happy ending. And I love the fact that they have so many different stopping points where she loses from them, and like it makes you feel more and more horrible for her, and it gets such an amazing payoff in the end whenever they, with all the situations with her getting her dress ruined, with her getting trapped in the bedroom, whenever the guy comes to get her, to get the girls fitted for the shoe. It works really well because this character is so likable, and because you've seen her go through so much hell just to get this happy ending, and I think that it works really well in this movie. More so than a lot of Disney movies, and I'm not saying that's a negative against other Disney movies, but I think they did a great build-up and payoff with this character, and with all the characters, I think. And I like how it's just kind of scenes with the mice, like trying to get the key, and they get the key, and then they're so close again, and Lucifer comes up to get the mice. So then Cinderella screams, "Get Bruno, get Bruno!" So they get the dog. And Bruno throws, or scares Lucifer out the window. And then they finally get her out. And I love the fact that the Duke is about to leave after Anastasia and Rosella had tried to get their shoe fitted with the shoe, even though they had giant feet that wouldn't fit the shoe. I love how the Duke says, "Is that all the people that you've got in this house, or all the women?" And Lady Tremaine just says, "Yep, that's it." And then he starts to walk out, but then you hear Cinderella say, "Wait, can I try it on?" And then Lady Tremaine is just in a state of shock, like she doesn't know what to do. She thought she won. She's so close, but then I love the fact that the Duke just says to her, the king told me every maiden in the castle," and like he pushes her, or in the kingdom, and he pushes her away. So I love the fact that the little servant guy who has the slipper, like he runs stupidly like towards them. So Lady Tremaine trips him and then breaks the slipper. And in your mind, you're like, "Oh no, the other slipper's somewhere." And I like how, again, like Lady Tremaine's got that smile, like I won. And then in the end, Cinderella just says, "It's all right," and then like he's like, "No, it's not okay." And he's just like, "Yeah, because I have the other slipper," and she pulls it out, and then that look from Lady Tremaine, I always laugh at, because it pays off so well, because this character was so crazy and how unlikable she was, and how she always thinks she's won, and then she finally got bested, and it just works so well with that reaction off her face. And then Cinderella puts on the slipper, and of course it fits, like, because it's hers. And I love how you don't see the stepsisters or the stepmother again after that scene. Like, literally, it just goes to the happy ending scene, which is great, because it reprises the song "Dream is the Wish Your Heart Makes," but it does it with the choir, which Disney does a fantastic job with to give me goosebumps in a way, just how they interpret this music. Like, it feels grand, it feels finite, or it feels like it's like the finality, like it actually feels like it's got such a great payoff with the score too, and with the song, and with them getting her happy ever after. I think that just works incredibly well with the music, with how it looks when it ends with these characters just going off. And then of course it closes like the storybook, like the beginning of the movie. But just rewatching this movie, just, I don't care if it's just for girls, quote unquote, because this movie is just so interesting with these characters. These characters are so great, and they've got such a great build up and payoff for them. For all of them, for the heroes, the villains, the animals, they all have something that builds up to something they do at the end of the movie, and I think that it works really well. And these characters are so interesting and so sincere, or so incredibly unlikable but likable. And I think that they just do a fantastic job with the characters, with the score, with the animation. The animation is timeless. Like, rewatching it again, it never gets old. It always looks so beautiful, and it's got the most like blue color of the Disney movies, which I like, because it's associated with that, because that's what I think of whenever I think of Disney in that color. I think, oh, it's Cinderella immediately. I like that, and I like that it just gives off such a great sincerity. This movie is just so sincere, so wonderful. Characters are great, story's great, music's great, animation is fantastic, everything's fantastic about this movie. So rewatching again, I'm just so surprised I loved it more than I did, because I've always liked this movie, but rewatching it again, I've just realized how fantastic it is with everything. So overall, this is a great Disney movie, and I'm so glad I watched it again, and I'm gonna watch the shitty sequel next. So fuck, I hate the second one, but yeah, I'll watch the two sequels again, and the remake again, live action remake. So fuck.